everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to bring you guys another patch breakdown. Now, 2 or 3 days ago, we got a pretty big patch, and it's of course the patch that brings us competitive play Season 2, along with a lot of other stuff, including a new map and some balance changes. So, of course, like always, I'm not going to be going over every single thing and every little detail of the patch, because that would take hours. So if you want to look at the entire patch in its entirety, that will be in the description below. But I just kind of want to give my opinions on a lot of it, how I think it might change up the meta for some of the balance changes and stuff like that. So to start it off, the first thing we have obviously got was competitive play Season 2, and there's a lot of changes actually to it. So first of all, the skill rating system that used to be 1 to 100 is now 1 through 5,000, because 1 through 100, whenever you leveled up and stuff like that, or not even leveled up, say you won a game, you might not necessarily get a full ranking up. You might only get half of a rank, and that doesn't feel really good. It doesn't really tell you where you are, because there were thousands and thousands, maybe even millions of people at the same exact rank as you are. And so, 1 through 5,000 definitely gives you a better kind of sight, I guess, of where you actually are. And then, of course, we got we have a new Assault Escort map. It's the castle that's been in PTR for a little bit. I made 2 videos-ish about it. It's really, really fun. I think there's some things that could be fixed about it, but it's definitely one of my favorite maps. One thing I really like about the direction they took with it is there's a lot of verticality. I don't know if that's a word. I'm going to say it's a word. There's a lot of verticality to it, and what I mean by that is, a lot of the maps in Overwatch, they're very linear, I guess. There might be a second-story building up here or a rooftop you can get to, but overall it's pretty much flat, except for those occasions. And in Eichenwald, or Eichenwald, however you pronounce that, there's a lot of stairs and towers and buildings, and it definitely surprised me of how much verticalness that there was in the map. And I really like the direction it plays out very differently than a lot of Overwatch matches, and it kind of changes the meta a little bit. As an example, in my opinion, I thought Fair did not do as well because in certain areas of the map, because it was definitely a lot more open because of how vertical it was, but other parts she's actually a lot better because when there's a lot of towers and buildings and stairways, she actually has a lot more cover even in the air. So it changes things up a little bit, for better or worse, depending on the heroes you like. But going back to the just some general updates. One small thing I really like that I want to point out is whenever you activate your ultimate status thing as Symmetra, so the thing that says how far you are to getting your ult, it actually will tell you if you're Symmetra how many charges are left on the teleporter. So it's something small a lot of people were asking. That's definitely really, really, really helpful. And another thing, just kind of with the communication thing, is whenever activating the needs healing communication while targeting a teammate, Ana, Lucio, Mercy, and Zenyatta will now tell allies to group up to receive healing. So it's kind of nice to give your teammates a lot more information, especially when you don't have comms. And they added 2 new emotes, a sit and laugh emote to unlock for all heroes, so that's definitely cool. But that's the little stuff. So let's go into the competitive play that I'm sure a lot of you guys actually care about. So now I talked about this in the map a little bit in a video a little while ago, but I want to go back into it because this is the actual update. This is all in the real game. So like I said, the skill rating is now 1 to 5,000. And now there's tiers, so if you play like League of Legends or stuff like that, it'll be familiar. There's Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Master, and Grandmaster, and they all have a certain range of values. Like as an example, Bronze is 1 to 5,000, or 1 to 4,999, and Silver is 1,500 to 1,999, or whatever. And so it kind of just shows you where you are. So if you're in, anything but Master and Grandmaster, you can't actually drop out of the tier. Like, you can't go below. Your ranking can. So say Bronze is 1,000, or say Silver is 1,500 to 1,999. If you go down to, say, 1,000, you'll still technically be in Silver, but your MMR or ranking or whatever you want to call it, skill rating, will still be Bronze skill rating, but you'll still be Silver. So it doesn't really, you'll probably be playing with Bronzes, but you won't, I guess, feel that bad. And in Master and Grandmasters, the top two, if your rating actually does go down, you will drop down, of course. And this changed a little bit in the PTR. They wanted to do something where you had to be within 500 skill rating of their group mates because of all the smurfing that was going on, and that kind of got a little controversial because you wouldn't be able to play with as many friends. So what they did is, if you're in the top two tiers, Master and Grandmaster, you can't be within 500 skill ratings, because if you're the best of the best, you definitely shouldn't be playing with, people that deserve to be in bronze, because that's just a little too ridiculous. If you really want to play with them, play in quick play. But anyone else in diamond and below, their skill rating can be within 1,000. So it's not too much, but it's definitely enough for, the majority of people to be able to play with their friends. And of course, there's some people that are going to be left out of this, but, it's for the better of the competitive, system as a whole. Next, players in the Diamond, Master, and Grandmaster tiers, if you don't play a competitive match for 7 days, you'll slowly lose skill rating. So it's not a lot, but it's, kind of promoting like, hey, you're the best of the best, you need to play, and it's not even asking that much. Once every, 7 days is pretty big. And on top of that, you only lose 50 rating points every 24 hours, so that's not a lot at all, and you can't fall below a certain point. And for all of the rewards and stuff like that, it's based off of your actual tier, the highest tier you got. So say you got to Grandmaster, but then you drop back down to Diamond, because, the top tiers you can actually drop down on, you'll still get, like, the Grandmaster rewards. They changed a few things with maps, a lot of the things with time banks. One of the things I was saying is they removed the actual coin flip thing. So they removed the coin flip system, and you can actually get ties every now and then. It's very rare. And, so the time bank system has been added to a lot of maps. The time granted for actually taking objectives on a lot of the maps, actually most of the maps, has been reduced a full minute. And, they adjusted the time bank for some of the maps that already had it. So pretty much all you need to know about that is, specifically, you don't need to know what map got each one and stuff like that. Just kind of know that there is a time bank system for most of the maps now. They've been balanced, and there isn't any sudden death, which is really, really big. So next, the competitive points, the things that you actually get for winning. You originally got 1 competitive point for each win, and you could buy golden weapons with them. All of them have been multiplied by 10, so the ones you already have been multiplied by 10, and all of the ones you will earn will be multiplied by 10. And of course, the amount of points required to get the golden weapons has been multiplied by 10. So it's not like, oh, I can now buy, like 5 different golden weapons. No. So the reason they did that is because they wanted to give people something, even if they got a draw. So you actually will get 3 competitive points for a draw, and then you'll, of course, get 10 competitive points if you actually win. So, kind of just pretty much the only thing that changes is if you get a tie, you'll actually get some stuff now. And instead of going into sudden death, of course, like I said, you'll tie. And players, so for the top 500 spot that, got an extra reward as well, you have to play and win at least 50 competitive matches, because, some people, they got very lucky, or they did very good in their placement matches, they got top 500, and they didn't have to worry about it because, whatever. So you have to play at least 50, because if you're top 500 in your region, you need to be playing the game, of course. One thing is, the little penalty status for leaving too many matches. You actually have to complete even more matches for their penalty to clear it if you leave a match early. So now let's go into my favorite part of this update, is the hero balance updates. So first of all ultimates that consume the ultimate meter when activated will now drain the meter more quickly. So, it's 0.25 seconds instead of 1 second. So a lot of what this does is it pretty much punishes you for using an ultimate, but maybe not getting the most out of it, or maybe not even getting to do anything with it at all. So it makes the game more competitive, but a lot less forgiving. So that's good for some people, bad for some people. I feel like it's overall good for the game because it makes it a little bit more competitive. Before, it kind of felt like everyone had their ult, and even if you played good as a team and killed an enemy team member or an enemy member of their team while they were ulting, they pretty much were going to have their ult when they got back up anyways. Now it actually punishes you. We outplayed you when you tried to ult, so you're not going to have it or have as much charge. So it makes the game a little bit more competitive. It could maybe be a little frustrating at times, but I think that's definitely good for the game. A little bit ago, they actually made a patch, or part of an update where it reduced the sizes of heroes' projectiles, and pretty much that made Hanzo trash. It made a lot of people actually really bad because their projectiles were so small. So they made the projectile sizes really, really big, and you might be worried about, oh crap, what about Hanzo, because his ridiculous. When we get to that, they did adjust his a little bit. And most hero abilities will no longer interrupt quick melee attacks, and ultimate abilities will now interrupt quick melee attacks. So that pretty much stops a few weird kind of glitches and animation cancels and stuff like that, but giving it two ultimate abilities. So now let's go into the actual heroes. So D.Va, you might know I loved the changes they made to D.Va's, because she was actually really good, but she was very, very annoying, mainly because of her defense matrix. It felt like she always had it on. So now, after being activated, the defense matrix will begin regenerating following a 1 second delay. So originally it was, you use it and it was half a second and then it started recharging it. Now you use it and it's going to be a full second before it starts charging up again. So it kind of prevents people from kind of clicking it and clicking it and clicking it, because, it tones down a little bit, but not making it bad. So I definitely really, really like that. She's going to be less annoying, but I think still played and a little bit more balanced. So Hanzo, his arrow sizes have been reduced by 33%, because, a lot of people compared his arrows to like tree trunks. So they've gotten brought down a little bit, but his actual projectile speed has been increased by 30%, so they're going to get shot a lot faster. But Hanzo will now experience a 30% decrease in speed while aiming, formerly 40%. So he's actually faster now while he's zooming in just a little bit. His arrows shoot faster, but the arrow size has been reduced a little bit. But technically, compared to the old Hanzo in the last patch, it's still bigger, because they reverted the size of all projectiles and then just reduced his a little bit. So it's still bigger than it was before. Mei, I still don't think this is going to make her better at all. At all. I think she's still going to be the worst hero. But her ultimate now, the projectile now pierces barriers, and the radius has been increased from 8 to 10 meters. But I still don't think that's going to do much at all. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to make her better, because you can't make a hero better just by making their ultimate better, necessarily. Kind of happened to Mercy a little bit, but that's because of how game-changing her ultimate was. Mei isn't necessarily. At best, it can get a kind of team wipe. At worst, it does absolutely nothing. And I feel like it goes to the worst side a lot more than it goes better. For McCree, his ultimate, of course, now drains over the 0.25 second period instead of... So easy way to explain this, if you played McCree and you ulted, it would instantly go down to 50%, and if you canceled it or you didn't end up firing, it stayed at 50%. And if you fired, it would go down to 0%. Now it actually drains over a 0.25 second period, so punishes you a lot more for not actually using his ultimate. Mercy, her actual staff for the healing beam, the healing per second has been increased by 20%. So that's actually going to help her out a lot, because she wasn't being played a lot because of Lucio and Zenyatta, because they out-healed her completely. So hopefully this will allow her to heal people a lot faster, but keep her, kind of in a specific pick where, oh, I want to heal people single, things at a time. And also, her Resurrect, allies will now be able to move around after 2.25 seconds rather than 3. And that Resurrect change actually changes a lot. It might only be 0.75, seconds, but when you're moving around and all that stuff, that's actually pretty big. For Genji, they did a lot of stuff. Pretty much one of the main things they did is, if Genji had a really cool kind of combo he could do that required a lot of little glitching and animation canceling and stuff like that, and it pretty much allowed him to deal double damage at times. So that's kind of, they fixed that a little bit. And then his double jump no longer resets when wall climbing, and his swift strike, it no longer deals damages to traps like the Venom Mine or Steel Trap, Junkrat, and stuff like that. and it no longer invokes quick melee attacks, which is kind of the whole thing. And then his ultimate, actually, the time has been reduced from 8 to 6 seconds, and that's actually pretty big. That's like 25, I don't know math, but that's 2 seconds of, you know, the entire duration gone. So that hurts him a lot. So I wouldn't expect Genji to be as top tier as he was, especially in competitive play. I think Tracer's probably going to be one of the people that is definitely a lot better right now. So Lucio, his amp it up, so the speed thing, the speed part of it has been decreased from 100%. It used to give 100% speed increase to now a 70% increase, which is pretty big because you know, a lot of the times people would need a Lucio, especially on control point maps where you want to get there really, really fast. So you're still going to get there faster than the enemy team, but not so much where you're going to be all on the point and they're not. Definitely, I don't know. I feel like Lucio was probably stronger than a lot of the other supports, but I don't necessarily think he needed that much of a nerf. I think that was a little over nerf. Hopefully he'll still be played, but it'll, you know, time will tell. They fixed the little things with Roadhog where his chain hook doesn't act all stupid and scrape you up against walls and act all glitchy. That's pretty much all, you know, that. 76, his bullet spread now happens more quickly when unloading fully automatic pulse fire, and it significantly increased bullet spread recovery time. So pretty much what they, you know, what the developer comments were these changes will make burst firing feel more reliable and increases effectiveness at longer ranges. So pretty good buff to 76. There are a few downsides to it, but if you're burst firing, you should be a lot better with long range, which is definitely really, really good. One thing it's going to do is I think it's going to make Pharah even worse. Unfortunately, she's one of my best heroes, one of my favorite. I think she's going to be even in a worse spot because of Soldier 76 now being even better with long range. Like, you know, a lot of beginners don't necessarily know how to burst fire, so I wouldn't worry about it too much there. But in competitive play and higher, you know, kind of competitiveness of play, it's definitely going to make a huge difference. Zenyatta also got a nerf, so we saw the top two supports getting a little nerf and actually a big nerf, and then Mercy getting a buff, so that's definitely interesting. But Zenyatta, his Orb of Discord, it used to decrease, you know, or increase the damage someone took by 50%. Now it only does it by 30%, so that's pretty big. It no longer, you know, that's a large percentage. I think he's still going to be good. It's still going to be great at taking down tanks and stuff like that. Definitely not as good as it used to be. But his Orb of Destruction, his actual attacks, the damage, it got 6 points of damage extra. This is a little bit more damage, but the Orb of Discord definitely hurts a little bit. For Watchpoint Gibraltar, they actually removed the first checkpoint, and that was something I was thinking they needed to do for quite a while because it felt very pointless, especially since most teams just give up the first point anyways because it's very hard to control, so it's definitely interesting. And they did a lot of UI changes and bug fixes. One of the things I mainly want to talk about is they added a new allied health bars option, so you can show the health bars of all of your teammates. I would highly recommend every single one of you you know, enable it. It's definitely really, really nice. Originally, you could only have it for, you know, of course, the supports, but also people like Zarya and McCree, or not McCree, Zarya and 76, but now it's available to everyone. So I would highly recommend at least trying it out, and if it's so weird to you, you can disable it, but it's definitely so helpful because you know which teammates are going to die soon, or which teammates need health, or, you know, just a lot of stuff. So, of course, you know, there were some things that I didn't touch on, or some things I didn't go in depth to them, so the actual patch notes will be in the description below if you want to check that out. If you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more Overwatch content and news. And like always, guys, see you next time.